5-game series, is incredible to see the turnaround from the LPLC. But for now, they've got to beat the West and show again that they are still worthy here in this tournament as we go into draft.
Yeah, look, already targeting Skewmond in the draft phase. The Maokai being taken out, which is his classic buy, as well as we see the Pantheon Varus bans, as long as the Talibans. My eyes are on that Faker Azir right now. Talia being taken out so early really sets that champion up for a strong first pick. So now let's see with G2, do they want to take that out, or do they want to kind of limit the jungle pool even more, so at least they can kind of hinder Owner's options a little bit?
Yeah, I think Owner has been one of the most consistent players we have seen at this tournament, and it's actually going to be his Lee Sin that is taken away. We did see a top Lee Sin, but we don't really want to talk about that all too much. The issue with this, of course, is that you're giving Faker Azir for game number 1, which is going to be huge comfort for this player.
Caps has been very adamant about this Annie counterpick, which fundamentally is a little bit weird just because how hard she gets outranged. But with the jungle meta being so fight heavy and you pick all these skirmish bruiser junglers, Annie works great in tandem with them and really makes taking those fights a lot easier.
Good with the setup, the Trundle gets locked in as well. We're thinking about things like the Wukong, Sejuani still up and available for Azir pairing. Where do we go next? We're talking about Owner and what jungle pool we can add with the 2 already taken out. As P1 just say, no, ignore that for now. We're going to pick up the Lucian. And the Braum pairing has been the most popular.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the big one. We saw that Ruler and Dura went back to this in Game 3 against G2 yesterday and were able to capitalize on it. And they picked it relatively early, just like we see here. I think it might be a little bit difficult for Owner. You know, this Trundle is rough for him. He loves to play the Xinjiao, he loves to play Pantheon, but it's banned or it's not good into Trundles. So they're going to forego his pick for now and just pick a strong bottom lane duo instead.
Senna being a champion, Hansama utilized regionally very well. Just getting those stacks can be difficult when all these swaps end up happening, so you really want to solidify those lanes and keep them there, try to get all those stacks on that Braum in the early game. Allowing now, probably look for a support counterpick on 4 and a counterpick for Broken on 5 later in the draft.
On the note of Senna, I feel like it's been the pick of the tournament so far. You know, it's 4 out of 5 win rate, but more so it's just been the games and the impact it's had. Set safe scaling, and with Hansama, that's what G2 need here when we're already starting to ban away some long-range options that maybe can match into it. Rumble's the first one to go. What is that setting up for with Alistar also on the side? Maybe a pairing that G2 could utilize?
Yeah, I mean, crucially, they're still targeting the junglers a little bit there from Owner, but champion that has been very popular for the man in the top lane for T1 is the Gwen, something he has relied on a lot. Dying to the Krugs and then reaching his final form as first G2 must pick their support. Nautilus Senna is just such a classic combo. Here you are against the Braum. Usually Nautilus into the Braum is not really favorable, but you just want something that has a go button to really help to bounce off that pillar.
Yeah, and definitely we have our eyes here on what Owner is going to pick with all these bans against him and having to deal with the Trundle. The Wukong you mentioned might be an option here, and also with Doran, he does have to go ahead and blind pick into Broken Blade, which is never a comfortable spot to be in. Xinjiao will be some comfort here for Owner. He does love this pick. It's, you know, Trundle does often get picked into this, so we'll see how Owner deals with this matchup.
Yeah, G2 really like pivoting the draft, so he kind of was forced to play Xinjiao there, giving them a favorable matchup despite blinding. Now, if you pick Gwen here, you run into really scary Jax on 5. So I could see Doran really looking for something else that has a little bit more lane control on the top side, being the Aurora that kind of had struggles against yesterday, and now get to see what Broken Blade has in mind.
Broken Blade has a plethora. The problem is, like we've seen with the Warwick top in certain matchups, sometimes he goes too far. Jace yesterday we didn't like against the Gwen, now up against the Aurora. Option could just be safe, play a tank, and I think Broken Blade's one of the best role players.
Yeah, sign into the Aurora is a little bit hard before he gets his first base off, but when he gets that MR, when he gets that MR Sunfire cape and he starts one-shotting those waves, he can really dictate the lanes in the mid to late game, but that early laning phase will be really tough.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. I think Doran has an opportunity here to get things going and start winning that lane. I think especially when you've got Lucian Braum on the bot lane at the same time, you have a couple of lanes that should be comfortable early on. Definitely a lot of eyes on the mid lane as well. You mentioned how Caps is loving this Annie into the Azir. How can Faker do? Faker's gotten some solo kills himself, but he's also been solo killed as well by some players. So we'll be looking to see how volatile that mid lane matchup does get.
It was that rough Rise Flash, remember the other day, versus Jojo Pyun. EU's already tested and thrown out the works into Faker. Like, is he going to have a better final showing here at the Esports World Cup? Their final game, their final series, rather. For third place, G2 versus T1. Finn, you already talked up the rivalry. I remember back over to MSI 2024, they blasted G2 into the ground. Yeah, there's been some series, some games close over the years, but T1 really have felt that they've had their number. It hurt. EU, T1 are definitely behemoths of the region.
See from T1 has been big. Yeah.
2019 with Europe.
Yeah.
We still think about it.
Shout out to the crowd. We got the Hanadu set today. I don't know if we got it yesterday. Orcs and I have been searching for it.
Yeah.
But we obviously, here we can't hear crowd as much. So, shout out to the Grand fans that came in. Yeah, 2019 is a big meme for Europe because we latch onto it, you know. I know you being LCK caster, Voldemort, you're like, you honestly, you get to lather up each year and just go, yeah, the 2024, yeah, good year. 2022, yeah, not bad. 2022, yeah, great year.
Yeah, but there are definitely some scars, you know, some years where it didn't go all so well. We do not like to think about 2018, 2019. That wasn't exactly the heyday for LCK, but still had some strong teams in the mix at that time. But it is really about T1 and G2 today. Both of our analyst desk members were talking about the magic, you know, the magic of G2. Can they rekindle that? But also the magic of Team 1, where it feels like they're inevitable. But they have fallen here to the third and fourth place match, so that is one step down. I do wonder where their mindset is going to be heading into today.
As you say, it's very true, Valdez. I think right now, though, maybe we have a fight here already. This is TENKYU.
Yeah, Winter's fight. They probably stopped it there for Carrier. Gets some autos down, and nice from Guma as well. But it's only onto Lebrov and Han Summer. Gets a bit of soul usage out of that trade as well.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that I feel like T1 at this tournament isn't really showing that performance that we kind of expect from them. Meanwhile, G2 came in as looking as massive underdogs, but really stepped up this tournament and showed why they should still be respected on that international stage, showing why they once were a team that was threatening the international competition, and showing why you don't count them out that easily.
Yeah, this is one thing I was looking forward to for T1's lanes. They're already dominating bot, as you would expect. Picking the Nautilus into the Braum can sometimes be difficult. You have to take very short trades there. And also, as you were mentioning, Finn, up in the top lane, Doran is going to bully Broken Blade a bit in the early game until he does get that first back. So maybe gives a little bit of extra room for Owner to move around the map and make some plays happen.
Broken Billy will suffer for... Doran has chosen that Grasp rune, which is not scaling as well in the damage department, but getting that health, just keeping the lane state solid and having that defensive capabilities in case Sion wants to go for a heavy trade. It's really nice for the early game, but I don't think it scales as well. You don't really get that burst damage when you get your items as much.
Seeing more trading down bot. Heal's going to be burnt by Carrier, Owner on a ward. Spotted is pathing down bot as he clears all camps down here, and noticed as well that being matched by Skumon, but naturally the Trundle, as he gets to some of these solo camps, will blitz through. Doran, it just continues up on top as Broken Blade, gets shredded a little bit, and I feel like the only other Aurora that in counter matchup has really been bullying and being that successful in this tournament has been Keen. We saw him in a different matchup versus a Rumble, but still, like, his Aurora was very clean in lane. So far, a similar start to Doran here, as with the Grasp, he's making full use against Broken Blade.
Faker going in for some of these trades. There's been so much action around the mid lane whenever T1 is playing. It's either T1's, or rather Faker's teammates trying to help out Faker and get ganks going. We saw multiple ganks from like Owner and even Keria coming in some of their games, but also teams trying to punish Faker and trying to gank him. So expecting a lot of action around the mid lane. As once again, we're just trading down in the bottom side here. Faker will go back mid.
I feel like Owner's been a helicopter parent. You know, he's just always there for Faker, and Kerry is like the brother that just drops in unannounced. As I give him a quick root, and there you go. Faker's going to do it himself, actually, and Caps has no stun. Ordered to death with a little tempo. If there's another soldier to arise, yes, Faker hits the high note for first blood.
Massive by Faker, finding a solo kill onto Caps. Caps disrespecting that lethal tempo damage. He probably could take one more auto attack, but had to respect that, had to flash out. Faker knowing his damage so well and really getting a small little lead here for T1.
And this is what it's been about for Faker. He's been getting those solo kills. Yes, he has taken some himself, but that is a massive start. As I mentioned before, supposed to be winning a couple of lanes. And yeah, it's just Caps not respecting Faker's TP back here to the lane.
Yeah, Caps wants to crash this wave and then base so Faker doesn't clear it, but he wastes the stun on the caster minutes, and Faker sees a moment to pounce, sees that he can go for the play here, and that soldier and the lethal tempo little thing flies at him, and
little thing.
Yeah,
the
ends up falling to that extra damage. Perfect play by Faker and had just the right amount of damage.
He's also falling behind in CS, so that feels like a kind of a revival for the lane. And Faker as well. He goes back, gets the recurve bow with an amplifying tome. Those autos are going to be a little bit more dangerous and precarious for Caps, considering that, as we're talking about, Faker gets a lot of attention. Caps did hold on to that flash, but Faker, as he approaches ult, it's danger territory for G2 as Skewmon starts Drake.
Yeah, Skewmon starts Dragon, but G2's bot lane has so much control in this matchup. One potion up on Hansama versus Gumayushi, constantly pushing him on their tower, using that Cryo now to secure this first Dragon. And once you get this Dragon, that is when you can really look for these swaps. And I think Broken Blade is going to need some relief. He's really struggling in the 1v1 in the health department. He's getting a lot of the creeps, but he will want to base really soon and maybe look for an ult down to the bot lane. And if they can manage to mismatch these lanes, I think Sign will be very happy, while Aurora, leaning against that Senna Nautilus, she might have a bit of a roughie, one might say.
Yeah, you could definitely feel G2 taking over control of the bottom side of the map and able to get that objective off of the back of it. Faker does take the Tivers to the face, but he's just fine. He'll go for a back himself. And here's that swap we were talking about. Not really much going to be missed at all. Looks like maybe 2 minions in the top lane for Hansama, but he's totally fine after getting through that early stage of the Lucian Braum just fine.
Despite the mid solo kill, feels like G2's kind of dictating this early game, and it's all on the back of G2's bot lane's really strong laning phase. Really impressive to go against that Gumayushi, Keria, Lucian Braum, and just has so much impact in these first 8 minutes.
I feel like, again, you know, a lot of center lanes haven't been punished. We'll pause on that, though. Owner's coming in. Caps Tiver's already out, so he doesn't have ulti to bring in, but Faker's just getting a bit of support. Morally from Keria and Owner again. There's a quick drop in from Keria. And Owner, once again, making sure the boys are playing well. But for G2, they're hovering out because Skewmon has his ulti. Owner does not. The difference here could be biggest. Dredgeline pulls in, but 6 now. Crescent Guard pulled out straight away. They turn onto Labrov, but as he flashes away and the Piercing Darkness flies through, a turn onto Owner, who has the flash as well, and Caps gets the electrocute with the ranged auto. 1 for G2 here, 40 seconds before Grub spawns.
The Owner levels up the moment Labrov hooks in, really baiting that, but the Senna ult from Hansama is the difference maker. Caps getting the kill at the tail end of that electrocute proc. Really impressive play here and great team play. Hansama did get a little bit chunked to the top, so he's going to have the base, but I think all in all, you're really happy as G2 to really stabilize this early game and get a little bit of kills back.
Yeah, T1 definitely underestimating the potential damage that would come out from the Senna and from the Annie over the top, and so they're just able to get Owner down. He felt so safe with this Crescent Guard coming out at exactly the right moment, but it just was not enough. Now, with that chunking on a Hansama, there's a massive wave in the top lane that's being dropped here. Hansama is going to come back and catch some of it, but yeah, leaving Hansama here, as of course Labrov was in mid with that fight. A lot of pressure around the Grubs right now. It does look like Owner is able to start it up, and Dorn is able to push them back as Hansama was chunked out earlier.
It'll be really hard to contest this.
Hang on, flash away from Guma. Broken Blade with a nice decimate, and he's going to turn it into a smash at that. Guma max range, cleanses. Broken Blade out of mana. The Roar of the Slayer will not reach either, and Guma gets out alive.
I was looking for it. He wanted to throw the minion at his back, but in the end, didn't have enough damage. But still really good getting both of GESSS summoners there with that play. Gonna make it really nice now if we can match the lanes as we see this replay. Look, the moment Labrov hooks in, owner levels up, but here the Dawning Shadow from Senna comes in and does so much for this team. And the electrocute attack is just enough to kill owner with another little rune thing.
T1 fan. Oh, okay, maybe she's a G2 fan. I don't know. I don't know. I see some betrayal, but I see Caps now, who's up 250 gold after that earlier solo kill from Faker. Remember, he was maintaining a CS lead in this lane, so just because he's been able to match the kill, now gold in his favor, and the Caps good start, I would say, but he has his flash available, might have to burn it as the Emperor's Divide. No, he's going to stand his ground, doesn't want to lose the summoner, and Owner takes him down.
Yeah, Caps should have been able to flash away from that one. He just didn't have any vision. He's sitting in mid against an Azir. He has to flash that Emperor's Divide, but instead he just kind of accepts his fate. He will hold on to his flash, but now he's dead again.
Divi2's going to begin though. Meanwhile, Carrier has ultimate available, layers it on top of Labrov, who flashed before. No escape for him. A free kill over to Guma on Lucian. And T1 in this early game starting to race a bit as Hansama, Winter's Bite causes the flash. T1 getting a lot out of their 2-2, a very different story to the Anyone's Legend series so far.
Yeah, big mistake by Labrov disrespecting there. Despite the early lane going so well, you are still only level 5. You can't walk up and take that fight. You do not have your ultimate ability. And Senna ulted before, it was on cooldown when the fight started. I think they got a little bit too confident because there was no summoners on GESSS, but still, that ultimate difference is just too vast, and you gotta play a little bit more respectful in these situations.
It's got turret plating as well, by the way, thanks to 2 grubs, so again, another lead to talk about here for T1.
Yeah, it's definitely a very nice spot for them as Guma's going to eat a bunch of damage with the Dawning Shadow to his face. But yeah, definitely got to be careful into the Braum. Even if he didn't have the ult, he can get stunned up. Labrov was sitting there with no sums. Definitely a bit of a risk. So he does pay the price, and that does mean that T1 in a pretty comfortable spot in this game. We're able to pick up a couple of the grubs as well, and are holding onto a lead in this one.
Imagine Broken Mid opens topside here, and then G2 tries to secure this second dragon. That would be great, really solidifying that dragon win condition that we so know well. Trundle's gonna finish up his full clear. A Sign goes to match the Azir. He's gonna be very fine against that, just clearing the waves, and we look to join the fight with teleport as there is ghosting on Caps.
Yeah, but Winter's Bite's out of range. Good pillar to disengage from Skewmon. That dragon mentioned before, number 2 here for G2. But they're not going to get anywhere near it for now. T1 hold themselves pro. Really important lore here in the game that we've missed out on. Guma and Hansama have matching skins, husband and wife goals for the Senna Lucian.
Very important.
But they didn't talk before the game, at least as far as I know, so that's just a happy accident. Not like marriage, by the way. Marriage is definitely not an accident.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be...
I'm setting it to a marriage, you know.
And it is a Cloud Soul that is on the way, so pretty incredible soul for both sides, I can say. Definitely going to be fighting for that one here. It does look like Skewmon is able to pick up the final sad, lonely grub that was waiting there in the pit for quite a while.
It is sad, isn't it? What do you think he was doing while he was waiting?
Thinking.
Grubbing about?
Grubbing about, yeah. What a grub do in their downtime. Caps accepting the wave. Look at T1, the setup here on Broken Blade. He went for the plating and he thinks, okay, maybe I can just ulti out. And I think Carrier knows it. So yeah, he walks it out. Good plating picked up. And the fact that he's within reach when the early part of the lane was so bad. These mismatched, these swaps seem to be working out pretty well here.
Yeah.
G2.
And this is kind of what you want to do with a Sign. You just want to preferably... Guma goes for the cooling here. I don't think he's going to get that much.
Yeah,
Hansama will heal him and walk out. Caps ults the bot to try to get a chunk on door, and knowing they have the numbers advantage. But Guma and Carrier are trading down bots at river potentially, so dive would be difficult, as it's probably just going to be a deep vision take here from Skewmon and Labrov. Walking together, something that we really like to see, and a big of the criticism towards G2 has been Skewmon and Labrov not working together well enough.
The gate, all it takes is a pillar. One hits, the other does not. And I was looking for that depth charge, but because there's no dredge line, T1 are just going to walk this out. Unfortunate for G2.
Yeah, I really like that angle. I like how they're playing around their vision and trying to look for pockets where they can really abuse where T1 do not have the vision, and it kind of worked, but their engage is not there if the Nautilus doesn't work. But now Skumont
runs into Carrier. Again, that layering of the ulti. He flashes, but into a Winter's Bite concussive blows. Skumont nowhere to go. T1 give another over to Guma. And slowly but surely, they keep picking up the kills here as Faker looks for Broken Blade. He's got lethal tempo up and available, but there won't be enough damage to cut through as, again, another kill over to Guma is big news.
It's a sad day for Skumont as Broken Blade is getting a little bit surrounded here. I don't think they can dive him. He's a little bit too tanky, but I don't know if you saw, but Gumayushi actually stole his chicken while he was hitting it and then killed him after. That's the biggest disrespect that can happen to you. That's very unfortunate.
It's the worst thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ona just picks up all the rather jungle camp from top side in the meantime. So that play of Skumont getting caught out means he loses 2 camps, he loses his life. Gold lead for T1 is about 2,000 gold as well. I think outside of, Caps finding that kill with a return onto Ona, everything has been T1 favored here in the early game. We see an Azir, we see an Aurora, we see a lot of team fights set up here. I think they'll be chilling with how this early game's going.
Yeah, they're in a very comfortable spot. I mean, their Lucian is gigantic right now. Guma just so fed at this point in the game, as now we got a TP up to the top side, but that is a Scion, so he's just going to run away.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of the lanes here being controlled by T1. It does look like G2 at least able to invade once again. They've had control of this jungle for quite a while, funnily enough, so they'll sit there as if it's their home.
Guys are both in TP on mid, and Annie's walking up. They don't want to give this Herald for free.
Onto Gumi. He's just going to walk towards his jungler. Broken Blade teleport now down, which means Faker might open up for the next wave. The Herald is the next call, right? Shelly has some business to do. Maybe with G2 as Ona just backs off, and they're going to receive waves first, but someone has to receive top because G2 are losing a bit of minions, bit of XP, bit of gold for this.
It's pretty awkward for G2. They use both their solo lanes to rotate towards mid, but they don't really get anything with the time that they both use. Meanwhile, Doran and Faker is pushing both side lanes, and now while G2 has to go and catch those waves, T1 is going to take control of mid, take control of the top side river, and most likely gain control of this Herald. I don't think Skumont can walk in there, especially with no flash.
Yeah.
You just gotta give it, and that's what happens. If you use your turn to walk mid, and you don't actually get something,
Depth charge.
the next 45 seconds...
Maybe they get something afterwards. Decimating Smash needed, though. Ona hasn't pulled the ulti out. T1 want to turn it 2 versus 4 for now, but Doran's in. Carrier Guma on the way in as well. Faker's bought time with the wall up and available, and the layering of Carrier. It turns into a T1 masterstroke. Doran with the follow-up after Caps finally joins him, but he has no stun. He's got no stun, and he ain't here for fun. The exhaust is down. He's going to take a while to stack up, but before Tivus is out, T1 launch on the mid laner. Guma will be the sacrifice. His life is now forfeit. Hans Sama playing it back. Tivus was angry. 4 members low of T1. G2 might have an angle, but as a dredge line comes in, Labrov getting bursted down. Faker flushed away, dies, hits the ground, but the stun up, and there's still good damage. The range from Doran keeps him at bay. G2 sending back here. It's a messy one, but the Herald still was secured by T1.
But it's not a bad fight for G2 at all. They actually trade evenly and manages to keep the tempo now on the map, looking for this top lane tier 1, looking for some chunks.
No. Unsummoned the target. Doran ultied up, decimating Smash, but under turret Broken Blade's now caught here, and Kerry's going to get a couple of concussive blows. Auto attack after auto attack, and this Aurora does do damage to Broken Blade. Meanwhile, Hans Summer dies to the jungler, decimating Smash onto Carrier, blocked away by the Unbreakable. Broken Blade is trying, but Guma has respawned. We are devolving to chaos, but T1 like it.
I mean, this is a super messy fight, but T1, they had it calculated the whole time, or at least that's what I'll tell myself. They baited them in 2v4. They brought them into the river. Faker looked like a tasty piece of bait there, and G2 did get run down, but they were coming back. And then eventually they just pushed it a little bit too far, and T1 are getting massive wins all across the map after this. They get that kill on a Hans Sama. They get the mid lane turret as well. And it does look like Skumont was able to sneak in here and take down the Drake, but that is just a consolation prize at this point.
So Finn, still G2 favored? Like, where did we end there? Because there were 2 parts of the fight.
That was maybe my first caster curse there.
Yeah,
Slight solace for Trundle getting that dragon, but I mean, that's just a T1 classic. I feel like they play so well on max range with low health bars. Like, you see all these low health bars.
And we're doing it again, aren't we? Look at the layering. Carrier just sends out the ulti, but Guma comes in. Culling is now layering down too. It must be a day of cake in game 1 because I love the layers that T1 are bringing in for fun. A double already. Guma going to send it for Relentless Pursuit, and with the piercing darkness, or rather light, he almost finds Broken Blade at the end. Oversteps under the turret. So T1 do lose their jungler, but it's the cost of 2 for G2. Hang on, 3. Oh, we're doing it again. Carrier, Winter's Bite. It's a bait in. Faker's backing away, by the way, so it's just Guma, but he's got 7 kills.
Yeah, we saw G2 do this to Genji yesterday, and Genji could not keep up, but T1 are keeping up with flying colors. They say, bring the action. It is fine for us.
And they feel like they caught Owner here, but Owner just decides to go in before he's retreating, and they get a good chunk of Faker here, but here Doran comes with a massive Between Worlds, and Carrier with a massive ult, and all the Avengers come to help them, and Capsteep is in there, but he has no stun. He can't look for big Tibbers because he needs time to stack that. He tries to flash away from the Carrier's concussive blows here, but in the end, he gets a lot of damage out just before he dies. And look at his Tibbers. This Tibbers makes it really difficult for T1 to kind of approach, and it kind of leaves Carrier out to dry here because Tibbers is just so tired of T1.
I'll quote Medic a little bit. That TP sucked. I think that TP from Caps was a roughie, especially when you don't have stun up and available. This is going to go on for another 5 minutes because we...
Yeah, and here it's where it kind of devolves and ranges a little bit.
What do you mean here it devolves? I think it devolved 5 minutes ago, brother.
Broken thinks has enough damage, but Carrier saving the heal, breaking in, and now Ansama is just left alone with an angry man with a spear, trying to chase him down, and despite the flash, and despite all the attempt from G2, there's just not enough damage in the bank right now. Oh.
Yeah, and guess who gets the kill? It's Gumayusi after all of that. I think that was kill number 5 in the game as he's sitting on, I think, 7 or 8. Yeah, he's at 7 at this point.
Wow.
On the Lucian. One of the early picks in the draft. Guma's running away with this one.
But now we start Atakan and T1. We've already come back and it's at 5k. G2 have to walk into this. But again, Carrier sets down the Glacial Fissure, the Unbreakable as well. Dredgeline in after a decimating smash, and Carrier will die, but Atakan is secured. T1 still looking for a fight, however, and onto Cap, who again doesn't have his stun available. He's in trouble. Decimating smash, a 2-man though, G2. Whoa. This could be their time. Faker though, auto-attacking after a 3-man knockback is big, but G2 have 5 still strong. Ona, where did he go? He got sent upwards and now escaping in the Herald. Not only have we devolved, we have evolved in this game 1. As he's also going to look for something mid. I don't know, he's just traveling and getting out of there. G2 won the fight.
He's an astronaut, he's a driver. What does an owner do?
I thought we had a Poppy in the game. Where did he go?
Way up in the sky, it looks like. Yeah, T1, that's some classic happy gaming right there. They lose Carrier, they're like, you know what, I think we win anyway. 4v5, let's run straight at the Annie and all group up for the Timbers. Not the best decision from T1, I'll say that. As we'll take another look at the fight here.
We're gonna be able to break it down there. T1 starts the Atakan and G2 approaches for this really tight choke point, and it becomes really difficult for them to approach, and T1 just finishes it now. Carrier gets caught, but now they're like, as you say, Valdes, they're like, okay, we can maybe fight still, but now look at this Q from Broken Blade, getting so much knockups here, and the Labrov follow sends Owner into the stratosphere, goes to the moon and back, and they don't know where he is. There he is! Now he's back, and suddenly he picks up his car and takes for drive.
And the fact he gets out after coming back from the moon, maybe we should just salute, I don't know, like, stranger things that happen in League, I think not. We're fighting again. It's been a great third place match so far. You know, I've got the perfect co-casters with me for this as we're going to just send it out. Okay, Culling into Skewmont. He's stunned up. It's concussive blows. Carrier, the Brom is adding so much value as Ona re-engages Crescent Guard in. He fears not as Doran's angle is now there too. Labrov gets him with a hook in. Again, the Dawning Shadow helps out G2, but not enough. Labrov still too squishy as the Between Worlds is going to find Broken Blade. He's slowed down to Buggery. He flashes out, gets out. T1 still winning fights. It's still their game despite the goal being closed. And they're going to head towards the Dragon to make number 2.
Yeah, I think G2 just overstepping a little bit there. It just feels like a very brawly game. They want to bring the brawls to T1, but there's just so much lockdown between the Braum and the Xin Zhao, and they have a lot of ways to keep guys like the Nautilus around. And so Labrov, you know, trying to make things happen for the team, he's just the sacrifice. And that does mean that the first Cloud Drake here for T1 will be given over to them. Still a relatively close game when you do look at the gold, but a very fed Guma, a very fed owner as well, who's got the biggest lead right now. On top of that, Otacon is going to be pretty huge for T1.
Yeah, the big solace for G2 is this Senna that is stacking. 83 stacks at 23 is actually a really good number. Usually the breaking point is 60 at 20, that's the median. So 83 at 23 is super strong on him. Really hard for T1's comp to kind of catch him unless they get a lot of different angles, and he's really scaling, having a really good game so far, and this is the avenue where G2 can kind of get the way back into the game.
And so on top of that as well, I mean, Broken Blade, although he still can be killed, we've got an Azir, there's constant DPS. I feel like Broken Blade, who's in a good position, who's still quite tanky for the game, also adds to that flavor, right? And what did you call him before? Broken Billy? Like, he's getting to his third item. And for Broken Blade as well, like T1 we've seen, he's already quite hard to kill. So he's got a bit of time to play with, and I think for G2 that can only be a plus. So the game's not over yet. 2k gold lead for T1, that's it for now. 2 dragons apiece. The fact that G2 got earlier dragons does seem to lend itself to their win con.
Yeah, it does feel pretty good for them. I think they're in a relatively comfortable spot. I do worry, you know, they have the scaling of the Scion and the Senna, but yeah, you really can't get too far behind. This is going to be the really critical part of the game where it's like, okay, we got Baron spawning, the Drakes are kind of even, and we're just going to brawl again, I guess.
Assume on, he gets a 3 Talon strike, Crescent Guard out again, a root in for Hansama, but he's not with the rest of the fight. Doran's in first, and I was just talking about Broken Blade being tanky, but versus 5 members.
Focused onto this Annie, and I mentioned how this was going to be the critical time. Yes, you've got your scaling elements, but you're giving up Baron, you're giving up so much here to T1 as G2.
It is like the backline of T1 has just so much damage. Whoever they're hitting, the front line of G2 just can't keep up here. Look at the skirmish in the top side of it. G2 doesn't want to give up this red buff. They don't want to concede this, but Owner decides this is a great time to fight. Dashes over the Decimating Smite from Strike from Scion, and here Faker just goes in, and Broken Blade, you might be tanky, but you still get shredded.
Yeah, and then look at Caps here. He's like, okay, I should be okay, right? Bit of damage comes in from Doran, and then take a look at Owner, how quickly he kills Caps. Look at this. This is insane.
You're right. He's
dead.
Wow. I can't believe it was the last pixel as well before Caps flashed. Unlucky.
G2 really needs to try to stabilize the map right now, and they need more time to scale up.
You're right, because the damage on Owner is not enough. The range from Hansama doesn't seem to be enough. Even on Guma, he has to kite his way through just to do something in the fight. I mean, yes, there is some good follow-up damage as soon as they have that disengage, or rather lack of, but Lebrov walks in, and when concussive blows, he's going to get stunned up again. Owner, the perfect ult, the Crescent Guard to keep G2 away as he dives in again. He's unkillable, unmatchable. Owner is the one on this Zin. Zhao Skumon can't hold the pace as Doran flashes in for the final piece. Faker, meanwhile, is having a date with Broken Blade, and I think Broken Blade feels a little bit shy versus the GOAT. Kerry has joined in with his unsealed TP, and that'll be all from G2, as this was the most entertaining game we have had at EWC so far. Game 1 over to T1.
Just fantastic stuff. A very entertaining game, very back and forth. Props to G2 for sticking in it for a while, but the damage from the Xin Dao and the Lucian was just too much for them to handle. Guma and Owner having a day out here, and the rest of the team also playing extremely well for T1. It just felt like they kept opting into these fights, and T1 kept knocking them down.
So good team fighting from T1. Just all these skirmishes, they're so precise in their clicks. They know exactly what everyone's role is, and they always look for the proper fights. Usually Doran doing so much damage, and Hansama tries to kind of match that, but I mean, these Doran ults in fights, they kind of went a little bit unnoticed, but that damage just adds up so much. Everyone is just getting so slowed, and makes it so easy for the carriers of T1 to follow up.
My only regret with this after watching this is that we do not have a best of 5 between G2 and T1. It has been glorious. It has been a beautiful game 1. You're watching some of the highlights after, again, Owner put on a masterclass. Voldes said it himself. He was Assassin's Intel. He was just that far ahead. God, hot damn. Let's hope we get a little bit more. Let's hope G2 can stand up to the plate. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go to a short break, but when we return, our third place match moves to match point for T1.
Hello everyone, it's Mirwin from TENKKYU here, and I'm here today to do a challenge. I have to find as many figures as I can in 1 minute, so let's get started. 1 crazy minute and I will make sure I will find as many as possible. So the first figure I can see is in the red base at the start. I'm looking for more here close, but I can see another one here in this flower. For now it's not really difficult to find them. Okay, another here. Now we have 3 for now, 4 in this bush, 5 in the Nashville, 6 in the ground. And let's see. 7 in this tower, 8 here, 9 here, 10 in the base. In this jungle I don't see. Okay, 11 here, 12 in the red, 13, 1 in the raptors. So basically I got 14. I don't know how many there are, but I think I found actually many. I don't think it was really difficult, at least for me. Hopefully I'm the top one, we will see.
Okay, so we're looking for fakers. I already see 1 faker here, 2nd faker here, 3rd faker here, this faker, yeah it is 4th faker, another one, 5th faker, so they can also be on the towers. Here 6th, 7, 7. I see more. I don't really see more. Oh, here 8. On the edges of the map. Okay. 8, 9. I see the 9. Oh, 9 it is. Pretty hard. I had to really look into it.
Alright, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, so 1 picture of faker. One of these. 2 pictures of faker on here. 3 pictures of faker. 4 pictures of faker on the Nexus. 5 pictures of faker. 6 pictures of faker here. It's getting hard actually. 7, 8 pictures of faker. 9 pictures of faker. 7 down here. 10 pictures of faker. 11 pictures of faker. 12 pictures of faker. 13 pictures of faker. 14 pictures of faker. 15, 16 pictures of faker. So if I'm not wrong, I think I got 16 pictures of faker. I'm not sure if it was the maximum. I probably think I missed a few of them, but I think it's like pretty decent score.
Level up your gaming experience with over 8 billion playlists, only on Spotify, the official audio streaming partner for the 2025 Esports World Cup.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Esports World Cup. We've got our third place match underway. T1 up 1-0 over G2 in a scrappy, very, very entertaining battle. Degon here alongside Meteos and Wolf to break that last one down. Meteos, what'd you think of it?
Well, it was a little underwhelming, I fear. It kind of felt like a lot of Western games versus the top Eastern teams where you just do nothing and lose. I think that G2 drafted somewhat of a low damage comp. They had a lot of crowd control and like team fighting capacity, but they just weren't able to get it going. I think they didn't have a lot of prio in their lanes on top of T1 having a fairly slippery comp. So yeah, I mean, they tried a little bit of stuff early game, but ultimately they just kind of rolled over.
Yeah, well, we actually have right now standing by live from the SDC arena. It's Atlas and Kitty for their thoughts on that last matchup. What's up, y'all?
G'day, Degon. It's pretty loud in here as some of the MKOI folks have come in with banging some drums, making sure that they keep the hype levels as high as possible. And we can see LEC representation. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's all here for G2 today.
Respect to the fans from Europe because they always show up to any arena in the world. And of course, we have T1 fans on the other side that are just as excited.
Exactly. Of course, the T1 fans feeling a little bit better after that one. I agree with Meteos. It was certainly looking a little one-sided.
Maybe a bit too one-sided. However, it is a best of 3, so like yesterday, G2 might just get a better draft for Game 2 and bring it to a 1-1.
Exactly right. I mean, this is the best thing, right? You lose Game 1 and then you come back. It's like the reverse sweep mentality. This is how G2 did it, right? They got that one win and then that was all they got at MSI. You turn it around this time, and then you can possibly make that comeback. So hopefully they can cling on to some of that energy, make something happen.
And I hope people at the desk aren't going to be Game 1 Andes, because G2, what are we going to do to T1? Let's go, G2!
They almost followed it. T1 fans, are we just going to clean sweep this one? Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right. Thank you very much, y'all, for the check-in from the STC arena. We'll get to hear from Kitty and Atlas later on in the day. Now let's go ahead and break that last one down. Kitty's suggesting maybe a different draft here, Wolf.
Well, for me, I think whether they call it a Game 1 Andy, I think the game, when you look at the end result, you look at the 7 kills on the Lucian, you think, okay, this game was incredibly one-sided. But several of the fights were actually pretty close, right? T1 almost getting caught there around the Baron pit before Otacon. It looked like the fight was definitely winnable for G2. If a few things go a little bit better, if it's a little bit tighter play from G2 or a little bit faster on the rotations, they might have won those fights swimmingly. They might have been the ones that people are saying they took a one-sided game. So I feel like despite the issues with the draft that Meteos already brought up, it was playable. They just got outplayed by T1.
Yeah, and we have examples of that in a couple of our highlights, starting with highlight number 1, which was a very long, extended fight that it felt like G2 looked good early on, but a big Emperor's Divide by Faker changes things.
This was a really interesting fight where, in theory, G2 should be better because they're starting with a 4-man engage onto 2 people from T1, but it kind of goes down to them just not having that much damage outside of caps. So they started the fight without Annie, and then Annie TP's in late, doesn't have the stun ready, and they just end up in a horrible formation. So what could have been a good play for them just ended in tragedy.
Caps, he shows up right after taking a backswing so late. He has a good angle, but like you mentioned, he doesn't have his stun prepped. And Doran's ult on the Aurora actually just bought so much space for T1. Same with Faker, right? And these are the T1 quintessential plays where it looks like, oh, T1's out of position, they're caught, and then they buy enough space for everyone to rotate over, and they end up having the man advantage. They have the advantage in positioning. This was a bridge too far from Broken Blade as he leaves Hansama out to dry and also dies himself attempting to get that kill there, but ultimately gives it over to Gumayusi, and it's just a bit of a disaster here. I feel like it was pretty rough after the loss in the fight, but this made the game almost unsalvageable.
Yeah, and I think the tough part from this, if you're looking at yesterday's matches, G2 had a long, drawn-out fight in the top lane where it was very scrappy, and they ended up coming out on top, and it turned the game back around. So I think maybe a little bit too much focus there on trying to flip the coin early. However, over at Otacon, the game did stall out a little bit with a huge stun by Caps.
This was a perfect example of the Dr. Double Lift, what he was saying with objectives, where T1 just recognized Otacon is so strong. In my mind, it's one of the strongest objectives right now, you know, almost as good as Dragon Soul, maybe better than Baron, because the fact that they get it, even though a lot of them died afterwards, and, you know, since Zhao went for a crazy ride right there, T1 is pretty happy with it, you know? It's an insanely strong buff. It gives you a lot of scaling, a lot of XP for your whole team on top of the takedown AoE slow. So, yeah, you know, I think that definitely reinforces Doublelift's point that it's okay to lose a lot of people for an objective.
We did see at the very end of that fight the combo there. Labrov gets the dredge line. The ult does come through, the stun rather comes through from Caps, but there was so much time where he's trying to stack the stun up, and everyone in T1 knows he doesn't have it, so they can fight through that choke point. It did ultimately end up going poorly in the fight for T1, but they got the objective. Owner's able to sneak away, and it's just these fights I'm talking about where it's so close. If that stun is prepped, if G2 are a little bit better set up, then I think they can get the punish.
Yeah, and then from there they had a definitive gold lead. G2 clawed back a little bit, but then here at the red buff is our third and final highlight, where we get to see Assassin Xin Zhao. This is a jungler's dream. It has to be.
This whole moment is really all about the Baron. Like, yes, they fight over the red buff here. This is what it looks like is happening, but T1 have control over the Baron pit. They have deep vision, and so G2 kind of have to leapfrog their way step by step closer. And these are the kind of fights when the game is basically over, the winning team gets to force and dictate, and man, bye-bye Caps.
He exploded there at the end. I wasn't sure if there was like an Aurora Q still on him, because that was more than just Zhao damage, but I think that was another fight where Caps just wasn't there at the beginning, and when you have one of these comps like G2, who you've got a tank, Nautilus, Scion, Trundle's like, he's kind of a tank. He doesn't do that much damage at this point in the game. You really need your Annie there to start things off, to just get a lot of damage in, get that initial CC, but he wasn't there. Broken Blade ends up just getting jumped on by everybody, goes down before Caps even arrives, so it just, yeah, I don't know, they just weren't able to find the right setups, and T1 just did a good job finding those fights.
Yeah, G2 with one more opportunity to try and bounce back, get together as a team, and send off with a good note back to the LEC, or will LCK's really big darlings of the league be able to close it on out here at EWC?
Oh, I did not know T1 were LCK's darlings, but I understand why. Thank you, Dagon, as Voldemort and Finnegan alongside me. Hysterics. What a game. What a day so far. What a good time we're about to have for game 2. Don't you think?
We just watched a spaceship owner in the last game.
We've just come back. We've just come back from visiting owner in outer space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, God, like that was just, I don't know, that was a bit
so
of spaghetti.
Brave. So brave.
So brave of him.
Yeah,
so brave of him.
Incredibly brave.
He was riding the Challenger 5 into space.
Isn't him. G2 got to be brave here up against T1 in game 2. I think that the draft was fine. Like, I think what all of our guys on the desk were saying was absolutely correct. Like, T1 up the tempo, G2 up the tempo, and then G2 just couldn't keep up. They took a lot of fights where they didn't have some of their main damage dealers, and T1 just ran them into the ground eventually with some really
in my throat.